Okay, double check, make sure we're live, and we are. You got your Chromebooks up and rolling. Here is your Google Classroom code. YCHLAA6. YCHLAA6. And that is an L, not an I, because it's lowercase. If it was an I, I'd have a dot. Okay? I'm going to snip this sucker. I need to re-snip it because I didn't get the word first hour in there. Set frozen for a minute so everybody can get in there. Oh, my computer's being so slow this morning. Probably help if I close some apps. All right. We've got that ready to rock and roll. Okay, once you have joined Google Classroom, go ahead and put them Chromebooks back up. You don't need them anymore today. Just wanted to get you in there. Y'all help me remember to tell Evelyn tomorrow to make sure that she joins. Okay, when I handed out papers to you, I should have handed you two. One is the skills practice, and the other one is the practice paper. Okay? The skills practice, we are going to work through some of this together so that I can give you some information. And then the practice, I'm going to assign some of the problems, but not all of them. So don't just go get started on it, because then you may be doing extra work. Okay? Okay. So let's talk about points, lines, and planes. Points, lines, and planes are the basis of everything we do this year. So we have to make sure that we understand what points, lines, and planes are. Okay? Number one, does anybody know what a point is? Like, what's a point? Okay, so what we think of as a point, we think of a dot, right? That dot, that little dot, is actually just to show us where the point is. The point is just a location in space. So, like, there's a point here, and here, and here, and here, and here. Y'all see dots, though? See how there's not dots here, but there are points. Because all a point is a location in space. That's all it is. Now, what do we use to symbolize that? A dot. How do you name a point? Does anybody know? What kind of letter specifically? What? Capital. It has to be a capital letter. If you don't use a capital letter, that is wrong. Okay? And it's very important that we get that one thing. If you don't get that down, it's going to mess you up all year long. You have to use a capital letter to name a point, okay? Points are named with capital letters. I do want to point something out. Y'all see how in this question they put this E right here? Y'all see that? That's wrong. This is a typo. This stuff has some typos in it. Does anybody know why that's a typo? Why that E looking like that's a typo? Well, there is one, but if you look over at that diagram, do you notice how this, look at the A, look at the B, look at the C, look at the D? You see them? See what font they look like, how they look? Okay, do you see the only two letters that have this fancy font? Y'all see those? One of them is G, and we're going to come back to what G is for later, but it's not a point. And the other one is E. Well, that E should have never been that fancy font. When you do points, it's just a basic capital letter, not a fancy. The fancy font indicates something completely different, okay? So when you're writing it, you don't make it nice and curly and cute and pretty. You just make a basic letter, okay? Now, that's a point. What about a line? What's a line? Oh, that's tricky, huh? Anybody? So, all a line is a whole bunch of points that are in a row. They go on and on and on and on forever. That's all it is. Now, when we draw a line, how many points do we need to draw a line? How many do you have to have? You got to have 2, right? Can you have more? Yes, but you got to have 2 to draw a line, right? That also means you need 2 points to name a line. You just need 2 points. If you use more than 2 points to name a line, you're naming something else. Because you just need 2 points to name a line. And it doesn't matter what 2 points you use. It could be any 2 points. Any 2 points will name a line. But you only use 2. If you use 3 points, you're indicating there's a change in direction somewhere. That's an angle. Okay? So if you use 2 points, you're saying it goes straight through these. If you use 3 points, you're saying it goes from this one to this one, and then we change direction and go to this one. Does that make sense? So when you name a line, you only use 2 points. And that applies to line segments. What's a line segment? It stops. It has ends, right? What about an array? You know what an array is? It only has one end point, and then it goes on and on and on and on forever the other way, right? So you still only use 2 points for lines, line segments, and arrays, okay? And they are points, so they are what kind of letter? Capital letter. You use points that are on the line or segment or array, and that means since they're points, they have to be capital letters. If you don't use capital letters, it's wrong, okay? Now let's talk about a plane, and this is where it gets tricky for most people. I want you to imagine for just a minute that this is a cake. Okay? This right here. This is a cake. Everybody see this cake? And let's say I have a knife. I'm going to cut this cake. How could I cut it? A bunch of different ways, right? So I could cut like this. Right? I could cut like this. But is that it? Could I cut like this? I could, couldn't I? Could I turn it and cut like this? Could I angle my knife and cut like this? And we wouldn't, right? That's weird. But we could, right? Like, if you think of this as a cake and this is a knife, and anywhere I could turn my knife and make a cut, That's a plane. That cut, that's a plane. All a plane is just like a slice of space. That's all it is. It's like a slice of space. Does that make sense? Tomorrow, I actually just flat ran off and forgot it. Tomorrow I'm going to bring a rope so that we can look at what a plane looks like in space. But for today, I just want you to comprehend that it's just a slice of space. Now, how do you name a plane? Well, I'm going to tell you. Some textbooks name it with 3 points. Some textbooks name it with 4 points. Is that weird? Yes. Why is it like that? I have no idea. Our textbook uses 3 points, but they cannot be 3 points that are on the same line. They just have to be 3 points in that plane. Y'all with me so far? There's also a second way to name a plane, and that's where that fancy letter comes in. Y'all remember that fancy G we had on there? That fancy G? That indicates that that plane right there, is plane G. So we could name that plane G. That's one way we could name it. Okay? We also could name it using 3 points that are not on the same line. Okay? Which takes us to learning a new word. I may have to write this somewhere different. Hang on just a second. I'm going to put it up here. If you're, let's talk about math notes for just a second while I'm getting this together. Do you take math notes? Some people do, some people don't. Someone asked me last week, are you required to have a notebook for my class? No, you're not. Is it smart to have one? Yep. Absolutely is. It's really smart to have one notebook or a folder or a 3-ring binder with a section in it that you dedicate just to this class. And when we go over things like this is smart stuff to put in it because you may need to refer back to it later on. You may be able to have to look at it and say, oh, I can't remember what collinear is. Let me go look. And I have it in my notes, right? Am I going to require you to take notes? Nope. Am I going to grade them? Nope. Is it smart to do it? Yep. But some people, that's not the way they learn. I'm not going to make you do it. Okay? So you do what works best for you. But it is smart to have one central location for all your math stuff, even if I don't make you do that. Okay? That way you can find your stuff. All right, let's talk about this word. Does anybody know what that says? What's it say? Collinear. Collinear. What's that mean? Best guess. What is your best guess to what that means? That's a great guess. I mean, that's a fantastic guess. It is not right, but it is a fantastic guess. And that comes from, you know, that linear means line and co means two, right? So you're on the right track. You're just not on the right train. So knowing that 2 lines is not right, what's another idea? What else could that be? What do y'all think? Talk it over with the person you're sitting with. Talk it over. See if y'all can come up with an idea of what it is. I'm going to give you just like 20 seconds. No, but that's another good guess. You just all over the good guesses this morning. Okay, who thinks their partner has a good idea? Anybody? What do you think? You think Henry's idea was good, Jocelyn? What did he say?
He was saying that's like 2 lines or something.
Oh, that's a great guess too, Henry. It's still not right, but a great guess. Naya, did Tabitha have a good guess?
Like straight lines.
Straight lines. That is another good guess. Also not right, but another good guess. Y'all are all over these great guesses. Good logical thinking. Y'all want to know what it is? Okay, because I could let y'all guess all day and y'all probably ain't never going to get it right.
Parallel 2 lines, like, so it's not like 2 straight lines.
No. That's also something Caleb thought too. No.
Two arms put together.
No.
Henry said that's like 4 lines or something.
Oh no, it's not. But that once again, still a great guess.
I said 2 lines put together.
So y'all's guesses are very logical and make sense. Okay, your guesses are very logical and make sense. And when I tell you what this is, you're gonna be like, that don't make sense. But it does if you really think about it. Collinear means points on the same line. That's what it means. Points on the same line. So if I say these points are collinear, you know that they are all on the same line. Okay? Now, you automatically thought that this had to do with lines because it was linear, right? Well, you were right. You were just thinking about just lines. Y'all see what I'm saying? And so this is points on the same line, collinear. All right? So, guess what? Coplanar means, what does coplanar mean? Point on the same plane. Way to use that deductive reasoning. Points that are on the same plane. Okay, that's coplanar. Now, that means if we have a word for points that are on the same line or points that are on the same plane, we need a word for points that are not. Right? Points that are not on the same line. What? I think you said it. Non-collinear. Non-collinear means not on the same line. Non-collinear. How easy could that be, right? So, not on the same plane, non-collinear. I'm running out of room. Hang on, let me move this over. Non-collinear. I need to clean up my table. That means not on the same line. And then what would be not on the same plane? Non-coplanar. So sometimes in math, we have things that don't make sense, like the use of the word range and range in 2 different locations that we talked about last week. But sometimes in math, it just makes so much sense. If, oh crap, I don't think I brought my charger. Okay, we're going to have to wrap this lesson up so that my battery doesn't go dead and I can stop the video. All right, so let's do a few real quick little things that have to get in this video this morning. And then I'll still do a little bit of teaching, but I got to shut down the video, okay? Okay, so if we're going to name a line that contains point E. Now remember that point right there is written wrong. It should be just a plain old E like this, right? But how would we name this line? So we could say line BE. That's one way, right? We also could write it the other direction because lines don't have a direction, right? So it doesn't matter if we call it BE or EB, they both work. There's one more way we can name it. Does anybody want to take a guess? Line Q. Y'all see that little lowercase q right there? That's not a point. That's a way of naming the line. So we could write line Q. And I should have wrote in print. I'm sorry if anyone can't read cursive. That says the word line. I'll try to be better. Okay. Name a point contained in line N. A point contained in line N. Do you see line N? So what's a point? A. What's another point? B. Now I'm writing them out separate just because you don't have to put them both. You can put one, right? Because it just asks for 1 point. I'm just writing both options, okay? Notice I didn't put a point in front of it. I didn't write the word point in front of it. Just the capital letter indicates that's a point. That's it. That's all we need. What is another name for line P? What's another way to name line P? Line CD. Or, what's the other option? We could also do it like this. line DC, right? Name the plane that contains lines N and P. So we've got these two lines and we need to name this plane. So there's two ways to do this. We could name it plane, fancy letter G, right? And so just make it fancy. Put some random curls on it and stuff. That makes it fancy. Okay? You could do it like this. And then put some curls. I don't care. Just indicate that it's a fancy letter. Okay? Or we could name it with 3 non-collinear points. That means 3 points not on the same line that are in the plane. So what are points that are inside this plane? D is. C is. Is A in the plane? Is B in the plane? Yes. So we could use any 3 of those points and name that plane. Okay. I'm going to stop. Oh!